Jared Jones is getting closer to pitching in a game. It does make you wonder, where does he fit in this rotation exactly? Good morning and welcome to OffBeat here on North Shore 9 presented by FanDuel. My name is Alex Stumpf. This is a daily look at your Pittsburgh Pirates. Happy Monday, everyone. And it might actually be a happy Monday because we got an update on Jared Jones's rehab. It's a big one. On Wednesday, he is going to be pitching in Bradenton for the Marauders. It's going to be his first rehab start. General Manager Ben Cherington said that on his radio show on 93.7 The Fan on Sunday. Big step in the road back from elbow surgery for him. And I don't think you need another explanation on why getting Jared Jones in this rotation is important. But I'm going to give one anyway, real quick. What he flashed in 2024, we haven't really seen anything like that in the rotation since. Like, Paul Skeens is obviously Paul Skeens. And Bubba Chandler and Braxton Ashcraft have been great young additions. And Mitch Keller is the steady horse in this rotation. But Jared Jones brought like an attitude to go along with just great stuff. In 2025, I wrote a story asking a bunch of pitchers which pitch would they steal from a teammate. And Mitch Keller was pretty quick saying, I want Jared Jones's FU fastball. And it really is the best way to describe it. Like, there is just that attitude, that rise, that spin. He is going to attack up with it. It's something that I see it from Bubba Chandler every once in a while, but not to this degree. I can't think of too many pitchers that come with that arm slot, that come with that much spin, that much rise, that much velo, that it looks like the fastball is trending up the entire way. It is a special pitch. He's a special pitcher. I know he's not fully complete, based off of what we saw in 2024. A third pitch would be great, but you know what? If he's going to roll with just two pitches, that fastball, that slider, and, the occasional two-seamer and changeup just to keep him honest, I think he has the tools to be really good and a really big part of this rotation. He was placed on the 60-day IL in February, but his stint doesn't start till opening day, so he is not eligible to come off the 60-day IL until May 26. There's also a 30-day window whenever you start a rehab assignment to whenever you can get recalled. His first start is going to be on the 29th of April, so that would be May 29, unless the Pirates apply and are granted an extension in his rehab assignment. I don't want to speculate one way or the other because so much can go on in a rehab. You can have a setback. You can have a day where it's just like, you know what, we are not going to push it. And then you have to adjust the calculus. There's a lot that goes into it. But back of the envelope math, if he does not get that, extension of the rehab assignment, that would put him in line for that last homestand in May, whenever they're playing the Cubs and all the way up to the first game against the Twins. Back of the envelope, just reading the tea leaves. So that's a month. That's a month for whenever he could be back in the rotation. Whose job does he take? Now, this is obviously the best case scenario. The Pirates would have no injuries to deal with. They would not have to be concerned about, or overly concerned about innings or any factor like that. It'd just be a clean, swap in. Whose spot does he take? And if you watch the game Sunday, you probably know who the most likely candidate is, and that's Carmen Mlodzinski. I have spent a lot of time on this podcast talking about Mlodzinski and how he is just a compelling pitcher to me. Sometimes players just, I gravitate towards the stuff because there's a lot of really good stuff here. And saw him have a couple really good starts this year. And then he gets the opener, and it's the best outing he's had as a big leaguer. Pitched twice this road trip, twice got hit hard. 0-2 in those games. Pirates go 3-3 on the road trip, 3-1 whenever Mlodzinski didn't start. It's a tough pill to swallow. Based off of his comments in postgame, as seen on Sportsnet Pittsburgh, it was he's frustrated. He's expecting more out of himself, which is fine. Warrior emotions. It's fine not to just keep him bottled up, and if he's feeling that way, he should be allowed to express himself. Can't help but think, though, he has 1 month in the books. It's pretty good, all things considered. But there are some glaring holes. He has not done well third time through the order. He's better against left-handed hitting, but he's also not to the point where you would want a starting pitcher to be. Like, both of those two things we talked about ad nauseum. Both have been better, maybe not good enough. And you know what? And maybe in a lot of cases, it would be good enough to still be a starter for a lot of teams. A lot of teams don't have this type of rotation, though. They don't have a Jared Jones coming back in late May. They don't have the Cy Young winner up top. They don't have a former All-Star, in the 2 spot. They don't have 2 really good young pitchers like Ashcraft and Chandler. So, yeah, it's easy to say Mlodzinski. I'm just going to throw this out here as a devil's advocate. Mlodzinski could go into the bullpen and could be really good and could provide the middle relief or leverage spot that this bullpen really needs right now. They also don't have a lot of starting depth at the moment. And converting Mlodzinski back to the bullpen, it's going to be tough to stretch him back out if they need to do it again. Now, that's not me advocating for it. I'm just saying something you have to consider. That you can't immediately take the guy from the rotation to 7th or 8th inning guy. They at the very least need to have some outings where he's going to go multiple ups, just in case he needs to get back in that rotation. Because while I am high on Wilbur Dotel, while I'm high on Antoine Kelly, they are both very young, very green, not the best of results in AAA. Wilbur Dotel is getting an opener on Monday, but he's effectively getting a start this way. So they're fine depth. But I am a warrior whenever it comes to starting pitching depth. I have seen too many Jake Woodfords come out of boy, talk about throwing a guy under the bus. A Jake Woodford, a Jared Eichhoff, those type of players come up and just not provide major league quality innings. And this is a team that is built on starting pitching. That has to be the engine that keeps it going. And I'm not saying, 1 or 2 starts, from those type of guys is going to derail the whole thing. But if they have to become a regular part of the rotation, things have gone sideways. So I have to keep the starting depth in mind with it. But it really does seem to make sense that if Jared Jones comes back at the end of May and he is ready and he looks good, that's the spot in the rotation you take. Because you can't go to a 6-man rotation right now. There's just way too much season. Maybe you can have a 6-man for a brief point, like, if there's a long stretch of games without an off day, you could do that, but can't really do it right now. Can't do it through 162 on a 26-man roster. And honestly, I don't think they will be able to do a 6-man rotation until September, whenever the rosters expand, if they want to go that route. At which point, I don't know if Carmen Mlodzinski is a real option if he's going to be in the bullpen for that long. I get that the counter argument is going to be, why does Carmen Mlodzinski have to be a starter? And there is no answer to that, other than just the starting pitching depth and how there is a lack of it right now. And how the Mike Burrows trade looks really good right now. And that's not arguing like, oh, they shouldn't have traded Mike Burrows or they shouldn't have traded Johan Oviedo. But whenever you do trade a couple young starting pitchers, this is going to be a product. This is going to be a side effect of those trades. Is you're going to have to always keep a really watchful eye on your depth. And Mlodzinski is part of that depth. He is right now the swingman. He would probably be the number 5 starter for a lot of teams. He might even be like a number 3 or 4 for some clubs if they, rebuilding, just let it ride. He is a back end of the rotation option who would probably be just as valuable, if not more valuable, as the 7th, 8th inning guy in the bullpen. And if they want to go down that road again and be like, Carmen, we really have a hard time bridging the 6th and 7th innings. We need someone like that. He would be by far the best internal option they have, in my opinion, of like a multi-up reliever. That would be a boost. But again, you're taking away some starting pitcher depth. You're putting a lot of faith that this, young rotation is going to be good, that Jared Jones is going to be fine in this. So I would wonder, maybe you piggyback him for a little bit. You're going to have to manage Jared's innings to a certain extent. That's one way to do it for a starter too, to see fully if he's ready to go. Give Mlodzinski a chance to still stay stretched out as a starter. Otherwise, I don't know. This is called a champagne problem. I remember covering rotations where it went from Will Crowe to Chase DeYoung to Max Kranick and a lot of guys. It's like, there are a couple projects here, I like some stuff. Maybe they could be a reliever or something, but as starting pitchers, no. This is the most talented rotation in the Ben Cherington era by a mile. And whenever Jared Jones comes back, I think you can stake a legitimate claim. 1 through 5, this is one of the best ever in the history of the Pirates. And the Pirates need this to be the anchor of this team. And I just want to keep that in mind before everyone's ready to throw away the number 5 starter with the baby in the bathwater. Because Mlodzinski could do well in a bullpen role. I think he could still contribute as a starting pitcher. I really think he needs an opener, though. I think these last 2 starts and how the lefties got him, the second, third time through the order, only makes me more resolute that, yeah, he probably needs a Mason Montgomery or Evan Sisk to go out first. Take care of the lefties, get loose. You're going to go 6 innings. That's still a starter. But we're close to Jared Jones. That's going to be a big addition to this rotation, whatever it happens. I can't wait to talk about it whenever it does. And to make sure you hear about it whenever it does, be sure to subscribe, whether it's the audio form or if you want to see me on YouTube and see my smiling face. Thank you so much for listening to OffBeat here on North Shore 9, presented by FanDuel. Happy Monday. We'll talk again tomorrow.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in, whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube. If you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.